Hello, Big Daddy. Why don't you all go chase something somewhere? We thank you. Now would you hush? It's a weed. Sam's favorite weed. I always bring him a little bit. Put it in a little jar for him every year. That tree has got an old man's soul. So I sit and swing off of it, and we don't talk in words, but I know who he is. This was killing my father. He had said over and over again, if you were ever going to marry, I want it to be Sam Tickle, but I don't want you to marry.
How many books have you written, Phyllis?
I honestly don't know. I have never counted. I know that's ridiculous. Somebody said the other day it came to 42, and I believed them. You know, whatever. I was born in 1934, right at the end of the Depression. I loved being on the radio. I hated being the whatever, twirler, the whatever that led the football team down Main Street. Despised that. And I think the consequence of being an only child is you become an introvert in a social sort of way, you know. I'm married to Sam Tickle. We grew up together. Believe me, we met in the church nursery when I was 2 weeks old, and he was a year old on his first birthday. When I was 5, my father owned a farm up the river, and there were no babysitters back then. You couldn't just hire somebody from the hotel staff to come take care of this child. And so I got taken down to Beale Street, where my uncle, Murph Alexander, ran the Pantaz drugstore. Anyway, Murph would babysit me, and on the second floor of the building was not a pharmacy, but one of the local, for ladies of ill repute, if you will, whorehouse, whatever you want to call it. And they would come down to get their Coca-Cola and to get some of their medicines that they wanted. And I was charmed by them. You know, they always played with me, and they smelled good. I remember as a little child thinking, oh, they smell so good. I was too innocent to know why they smelled good. I have been angry at kids, and I have been angry at Sam Tickle. You know, you can't have a good sexual relationship if there's not a little anger, right? You know, every once in a while, you have to just want to kill each other so that some energy comes back to this thing, right? So I'm capable of anger. Never been angry at God. Never felt that. I was picking up the girls from school, and number 8 car came and bang, 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 and we all got like this. And I got rear-ended, of course, and was pushed into the steering wheel. And I suspect that triggered an early delivery. Nobody ever wept over a child more than I wept over our son, Wade. Wade was 13 days old when he died, and he died of pneumonia. And that, I think, was in many ways the great insult. His father is a pulmonologist. It was hard. It was hard for him. And he never could really talk about it much. It became the first thing that we couldn't communicate on at any meaningful level or any therapeutic level, any productive level. And for me, it was just heartbreak. And every time I would cry, then it would make it that much worse. And I can remember him saying, wish you wouldn't cry. I don't know what you're crying about, you know, the kind of thing. It's over, kind of thing, meaning it wasn't over, of course, or he wouldn't have been. So. For everybody who was in the city of Memphis at the time Dr. King was shot, everybody has his or her own story about it. For some reason, on that night in April of 1968, he had gone to St. Joseph's Hospital in downtown Memphis. And Sam didn't practice there. He wasn't on the staff. He had apparently been asked to come on a consult, but somehow he ended up in the emergency room when they brought Dr. King in, and the phone rings. and I hear my husband's voice speaking very quietly, very low pitched. They have brought Dr. King in to the emergency room. He's dead. They won't announce it for a little while. Get the girls, call your mother, and get out. I grabbed those 3 little girls with all the dolls, you know, the doll that was dearest to each, and a few clothes, threw them in a suitcase, threw the kids in the car, and began to drive east, which will always stand in my memory as one of the most poignant or dramatic moments of life. I got back obviously the next day, midday, but by that night, the city was burning. You could see the fires from our kitchen window. Sam was both a pulmonologist. It's common to brag about your husband, isn't it? But people came from as far away as Dallas and Chicago. But the first really psychotic break essentially happened in a shop. I was driving along the highway and he saw the shop and we had to go in. He was going for the wheel. I pulled over and we went in, and he wanted everything in the store and he was out of control. And the woman was terrified. And finally, right at the cash register, he saw these. There are 19 of them, as a matter of fact. So we bought all of the dragonflies. I think now there are only about 16 left, but I brought them home and said to the adult children around, we've just gone into a different stage. And the dragonflies became, in some bizarre sort of poignant way, a symbol that we've lost Dad. Once you get into that level of dementia, it's not coming back. And now he's back here, trying to adjust the drugs that will take care of the anger management or the combativeness or whatever it is without making him too sedated. Hi. Hi. I'm here. I'm over here. Hey. Hey. How are you? Okay. You all right? You sleepy?
Am I sick?
I don't know whether you're sick or not. How do you feel?
Why you treat me this way?
You mean here?
Huh?
You mean here?
Tell me to do this, to tell me that. No.
Oh, well, you know you can't check out of a hospital without medical permission. You know that. You used to have a fit when patients would try to do that. I've heard you complain about it. Bye-bye. Okay? John will be here in a little while. John will be here in a little while. Rest, so go to sleep and he'll be here. Get rested so he can come.
Okay.
Okay? All right. I've had my share of the downs. Sam is obviously completely beyond where I can reach him now. So a husband of 60 years and a childhood friend and life companion for 80 years is gone. It does become depersonalized. I can cut his nails and comb his beard and comb his hair and oil his skin, and that's touch, and that's me taking care of a former lover. But in the day-by-day thing, when I go in and see him, it's more an obligation than it is even an affection at this point. And I think ultimately you have to be honest with yourself about that. So all of that is like a photo album in my head, and not the reality. The reality is I took vows till death do us part, in sickness and in health. And I think he would feel the same thing. It just ceases to be. Sam Tickle is dead. What I have left is what I would like to care for, as long as there's any possibility of pain and suffering on the part of what's left. Occasionally, he will be able to drop back. We could sit in the afternoon and have a glass of Jack Daniel and sit on the deck, and we would remember. We would remember from the 40s. We would remember from the 50s. Now, as you know, he doesn't even recognize his children, whom he adored. You too.
Hello.
She is. I envy almost my friends who can say they see God in nature, or they see God in, I see the evidence of God, I see the wonder of God. I can look through the Hubble and say with the best of them, oh my God, and mean it. God intrudes, God interrupts, God comes knocking. So do I think I'm ever very far from the eyes of God? No, I don't think any human being is very far from the eyes of God. I grew up hearing poetry read and recited. It was part of my childhood. I have tons of books like this where, the pages have been marked for so long that the paper clips have even rusted into the pages. I was always kind of fond of this one, maybe because it was for our 25th. I wrote anniversary song. Makes me sad. Behind the hill and along the rill of the rushing river stream, we played at house as children will, under a wind-crowned yarrow. There's something very primitive about this. A fire that just burns day after day after day.
What does it mean to you to do that?
Well, the fire purifies, right? It does. You left your knickers and I my gown, and under the kindly yarrow you laid me down to dream of children then, born beneath the yarrow tree. And above the lullaby of sky, they heard the brave elk's cry, and now are gone from under the murmuring yarrow. It gets rid of the body and leaves the message, whatever that means. It puts it where nobody else can ever take it, or take it away or something.